Each thud bled new bruise. They didn't flinch, only sang softer, dried hush insisting. I forced foot forward, tires spat road, but I knew now with every cell. Third loop hadn't punished. It was invitation. Every return, an offering deeper. Next will be closer. Next will mock prayer louder. Next will break memory itself. But still, wheel jerked, loop swallowed, and oak grinned crook overhead. They weren't chasing. They were waiting. And I had nowhere left but loops. No road left but circle. I had stopped screaming by the time the fourth loop began. My voice was shards, my throat raw meat against itself. It didn't matter. Nothing I said ever mattered to the road anymore. There comes a point where terror isn't fire in your veins. It's fever. Cold, steady, unbudging. I felt that fever sit in my bones as the cruiser shook through the curve of trees again. And there it was, the clearing, the oak, waiting. But this time everything felt sharpened. There was no mercy in the illusion of sameness. The scene had evolved. I knew before the headlights lifted across its body that something new waited. And when they did, I swallowed a moan that never even cracked loose. There weren't one, not two, not three. There were 5. The effigies dangled nailed against its split bark flank. 5 bodies now, like parishioners forced into display, each frozen in mute, grotesque sermon. The closest effigy tilted sideways, arms sagging wrong, sack head bent sharp into left hollow shoulder, mouth threads stretched until one popped loose, dangling wire down chest like metallic drool. The second looked worse, its shape longer, arms trailing thin down trunk base, foot seams unraveling. Cloth splitting loose, it seems like skin trying to peel. The third sagged chest burst wide open, stuffing clumped inside black as rot. Under headlight glow it almost looked slick, almost alive. Fourth, entire head gone, sack ripped off, leaving upright body propped, neck pulled there, wires shaping where head once should rest, as though something tore itself free mid-loop. And fifth, God, the fifth. It was smaller, crooked, child size. Something inside me convulsed like bile. Who nails a child-shaped effigy into bark? I realized my headlights shook not from road bumps but from my own hands convulsing on the wheel. I blinked sweat into sting but didn't dare wipe eyes. What if I blinked too long? What if shapes multiplied again? The smell thickened, too. Not pine, not dirt. Metallic, wet. Copper like pennies rolled in a fist, sharp like old rusted nails. It coated my tongue inside mouth until I wanted to bite it off, and that's when something dangerous woke within me. A memory. I was maybe 11, summer camp, 3 valleys east. Counselors sat us in log circle, told ghost tales. One was about the hanging tree. They said in the 1920s, outlaws strung men high in its branches. Nobody cut them down. Swore you could still see shadows. My bunkmate swore his uncle chopped the thing down, but counselor said liar. Said, kids who camp beneath it rise up in the morning nailed barkward, sewn mouths, and they watch the next batch. We had laughed, even me, but God, memory rewound so perfect in that clearing until the only difference was oak's shape. Different names, same legend, same tree. I realized I was living Ghost Campfire's kernel. And this thing doesn't grow from story. Story grows from this place. I forced eyes away from 5 effigies to a ditch, and grieved worse. The sheriff's cruiser deputy corpse was no longer slouched. It sat upright now. When last I saw, head tilted, hair forward. But headlights cut clean on face this time. Hat tipped forward proper like salute. Fleshless head proud stiff. Worse. The arms. One, limp, slack. The second stretched hand up high, pressing palm to windshield. Knuckles scraped. Faint. Deliberate. The notebook wasn't on the lap anymore. It sprawled fully open on dash. Pages yawning like tongues flayed forward, and windless air licked page edges until one flipped. Then another. It wasn't random page turn. They licked like careful gloved fingers, trailing. Too obvious to miss. Invitation. Take it. Finish what I began. The deputy hadn't left warning. He had left roadmap. I muttered raw to myself, Don't move. If you step out, this ends right here. Then louder at corpse across clearing. You hear me? I'll never, Becco replied instant from wood choir. I'll never. Laughter followed, dry like burlap rustle-dragged stone. My head smashed wheel twice. Horn spat broken bleed across choir, but they didn't shift. They didn't scatter. Oak swayed effigies through no wind. Stitches vibrated mouths. Everything around me urged, take notebook, join sermon, add your verse to prayer. But training muscle memory roused. My logic side crawling barley grain. Describe, observe, keep record. So I muttered entries aloud, though no pen scribbled. 4th loop. Oak hosting. 5 effigies now, 1 child-sized. Deputy corpse cedar upright. Movement unnatural. Notebook pages flipping self. My own voice cracked verse. Useless liturgy mapped back to itself, and the whispers chuckled. Yes, speak it all down for us. Recite. The voice was mockery mother sweet, father gravel mixed. I cracked pistol up at roof, shriek half choke, but didn't fire. Coward? Survival? Maybe both. Because my core whispered, 1 shot here, and bullet frame doesn't matter. You'll only invite permanent stay. So I dropped gun back slack, reverse, forward, tires carving dust. Yet already knew nuts of game. 4th loop wasn't same but worse. It was escalation measured. Effigies multiplied into 5 parishioners, corpse-grown conductor upright, tapping inside. Notebook altar wide open as hymn, and whispers pressed, choired, unified. You're closer now. Circle closing. Service nearly ready. Each loop more congregation, more pew. And next they finish. I wept bitter for truth. I was 1 sermon away from belonging among those stitches. The road bent again into its curve. At this point, I wasn't gripping the wheel to steer anymore. The car could have driven itself. My hands only clung because they didn't know what else to do. My heart no longer spiked. It had become sludge. Exhaustion weighted every vein. Some dull acceptance whispered in my belly. The next clearing was waiting. And sure enough, the trees peeled apart. And there stood the oak. But not just the oak. This was worse. This was final. The tree wasn't a tree anymore. It was a scaffold, a cathedral without walls. 7 effigies dangled from its broken ribs now, not nailed crooked but swaying. And there was no wind, yet they swayed, slow, pendulous. Cloth bodies dragging arc back and forth like silent bells. Their stitched mouths hung slack from half-torn seams, some wires snapping, threads spinning loose. The one I recognized from before, the child-shaped one, spun in slow half-circle as if some invisible hand kept adjusting rope. My headlights flared arcs of their swinging. Shadows warped outward in cadence. Each sway bent air pressure, oppressive heat one moment and icy sting the next. I began gagging dry. Not food sickness, soul sickness. "They're moving now," whispered something outside. "The mass has begun," another added voice overlapping. I tried not to look at the deputy's cruiser again. I failed. There it sat, ditch-seated like wreck museum. But the dead deputy no longer looked dead. He sat bolt upright, posture stiff, lawman proud, neck jerking slight. Head twitched once like he'd reset joint. And his arm, it raised. Not ragged dangling, not accident gravity. He raised it. Palm pressed windshield. Fingers curled half tap. Bone-clicking thud braced cabin glass. 3 knocks again. This time steady, patient. Knock, knock, knock. Between each knock my headlights glinted notebook sprawled on dash. Pages fluttered now like balloon lungs, flipping forward on each knock, as though synchronized with tap. Faster flip, harder flip, paper-thick cascade, until book settled mid-section wide. New scrawl ran black fat down page, wobbled like not written long ago, like carved fresh. I couldn't read detail, not whole lines, just fragments. Circle close, join. Mouth sewn, eyes sealed, prayer kept. I smashed steering wheel heel until horn lit valley again. The watchers didn't flinch, because they had moved closer. The stitched mouth congregation wasn't at tree line anymore. They had assembled proper now, evenly parted rows lining both shoulders of clearing, left and right, forming aisle split like path to altar. My headlights painted line of dozens, all tall skeletal frames, sackcloth heads, thread mouths vibrating in rising hum. Every stitch quivered static like plucked wire. Not voice, charging. Hum thick like bass deep inside chest. Service, service, service. It wasn't said, it was implied. It swam through marrow. My body wanted to exit vehicle, not in rational obedience, but some deep vertebrate programming clicked. The same itch you feel at funerals to stand when preacher rises. That toll of history in bones begging knee bend. I held wheel white-clawed. Whisper moans shook my teeth. Don't. You do. You're gone. You do. You're theirs. But still my knee twitched like it would unlock door. I saw it. Hand drift unconsciously. I forced slam fist across wrist, bellowing snot-sobbed denial. The congregation only swayed heads together, in eerie slow sequence, each cloth-bound skull tilted upward like dozens of marionettes tugged string at once. Mouth threads vibrated, and then one snapped. Pop sound, crisp, like tension string break on guitar. From one figure on aisle front right, wire sprang and mouth slits slack wide. No flesh inside, no teeth. A hole, but hole twitched like smile. Whoa. The vibration surged until whole valley sang static-like. He is ready now. Circle holds. Mass is here. I couldn't breathe anymore. Eyes swam cloudy. I screamed hoarsely. "I'm not yours! I'm not!" But my desperate chant fell flat against choir, because oaks swung effigies in rhythm now. They weren't random. The swaying swung like pendulum conducting. Crack forward, crack back, shadows synced, and for each sway, corpse inside cruiser tamped windshield. Knock, 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 in unison. And notebook flipped fresh each cycle, until I couldn't keep numbers straight. Until book's last page bent wide, and words carved so deep, ink cut through page stack. No way out, only in. The final sermon. I broke then. My chest rattled sob. My forehead slammed horn again and again until sound blended suffocating bass to their stitch choir. I moaned prayer to God, hell, anything, make it stop, make it stop. If you exist, if sun exists, if dawn. But no dawn swelled horizon. Moon gushed red thicker, dripping through pines like ceiling leak, and congregation hummed louder, embarking final verse. Morning never comes, never comes. Only circle, only us. Silence strikes dead, cutting hum. All sounds ceased. For 1 second only silence. I raised head off wheel. No hum. No knock. Nothing. I dared glimpse windshield. Choir had vanished. Effigies silent. Mid-swing freeze. Deputy corpse collapsed. Slump again. Notebook shut. For one lunatic heartbeat, I thought I had survived. That was joke itself. Because my rearview mirror glinted condensation of breath, not my own. We are inside now. The silence wasn't a gift. It wasn't victory. It was theater. You ever sit in a room with people you know are angry, but they've stopped shouting? Maybe they just glance at you, lips tight, making no motion at all. And somehow the lack of sound beats worse against your ribs than screaming would. That was the silence I was in, sealed inside that cruiser. For the first time in hours, maybe days, maybe longer, everything had gone still. The swaying had stopped. The whispers had gone dry. The effigies looked like nothing more than sagging scarecrows again. And for a moment, I believed. That's the cruelest part. I let myself believe. I raised my head from the wheel slow, eyes salt-burned raw. The air inside cabin misted my breath, but nowhere outside did I see a shift. No shadows crisscross, no palms streaked on glass, nothing. The oak stood gnarled but neutral, its black ribs carved high into moonspill. The effigies hung limp. The sheriff's ruined cruiser slouched as if ashamed of itself. The corpse slumped true dead. Every signal said, it's over, that this nightmare had exhausted itself. My lips cracked against each other. I whispered hoarse, pathetic and eager. It's done. The silence ate the words. No echo, no returning voice. My ears rang alone. Maybe that was enough for sane man to restart engine full throttle and leave. But the sane piece of me was gone already. What's left of a man inside a trap loop? Only fragments. That fragment sat here too tired to test road again. Half a grin scratched across my face, uninvited. Relief born out of madness. I laughed low. The sound startled even me. Guess I imagined most of it. I muttered, guess, hallucination, fatigue, maybe monoxide leak, and then condensation. Fresh, on my left window, a slow line, thick and wet, forming tight. A circle, drawn from outside across frost glass. Perfect circle. I knew better than to scream. My throat had nothing left. I just pulsed dread through veins frozen. And then inside the ring of condensation, a single diagonal slash cut down. Circle, crossed, meaning etched. We close the circle. A voice followed just at ear rim, not outside, not in headset. Inside my own head's meat. Never over. I snapped pistol barrel forward and shrieked broken, "Show yourself!" Wind bent around clearing, no branches moved, but I glanced forward. Out beyond beams, far margin of pine, a shadow, then another, then more. Not the aisle formation of before, not rows, multi-layered. They made a ring, circle wide sweeping clearing, encirclement total. And every silhouette breathed. The stitch choir had not gone. They had not given mercy. They had only widened ring, and now it was shrinking. Circle close, he's ours. My hands tremored, ride heavier again on gun. Core screamed, waste bullet, blast glass, end all. Rational shard sliver hissed, don't. You shoot, nothing stops, only speeds them closer. So I stuck back to seat, head pressed headrest. Saliva drooled down chin, chest convulsing low. I muttered, no, you're not real. I'm hallucinating. Hallucinating. Told himself, hallucination. They mocked me in stereo. Circle, circle, closer, closer. The silhouettes pulsed forward half-step, not lurch, not rush, as if instructed choreography, like Parrish stepping row front pew. One, then halt, another line, halt, measured, practiced. The threads even vibrated, visible across cloth mouths under moonglow. One twitched in haphazard pluck like string on broken cello. Sound bled low through soil, hummed into steel, into engine block, up bones, antennae inside marrow. And in that hummed moment, every sensation was sermon. My instinct clawed me to say prayer, something. Our Father, I started, but voices laced over me. Our Father, he says it, he mocks himself. You think prayer breaks circle? Prayer is circle. Many voices cackled. I gagged mid-sentence, because they were right. I knew it. Out of me spilled contradiction. They'd made my voice weapon itself. I spat throat blood sideways across dash to rid prayer. I won't join. But the circle shrank. More figures. Breath fog patches now printing not just one circle, but dozens across every window. My cabin sealed with mirrors of circle inside out. And still they didn't attack. Not yet. They only shrank ring. Closer. Closer. Like they had all the time in the world, because time inside loop didn't mean a thing anymore. Already ours. Already one of us. I gripped the pistol again, but hand clumsy. Couldn't tell anymore which breath was mine and which exhaled from outside. Couldn't tell if my refusal meant anything at all. But clearing, oak, corpse, all blurred phantom background. The only real thing left. The circle closing. The circle wasn't moving fast. That was worse. You could see a danger sprint at you, a bear, a man with a knife, and your body knew what to do. Run, fight, freeze, something. But when danger creeps, inch by inch, half step by half step, your instincts can't decide. They brew inside you like hot tar instead. That was what those silhouettes were doing, tightening with patience, savoring proximity like they were filleting me alive inch by inch. And then came the whispers again, not outside, not just pressing through bark or cloth mouth. Inside head. He thinks he should fire gun. He knows bullet is useless. His finger trembles. I nearly hurled pistol into footwell. I clutched it tighter instead, snarling, "No." They chorused back instantly, "No, no, no, no." Perfect imitation of pitch. He wants to believe no. I smacked temples with heel of my hand. "Shut up! Get out!" But silence didn't return. Martin condemns himself. He begs for God, but he knows God does not walk this valley. And damn if they weren't right, because corner of me did think it, had thought it all along. Where is God? Why leave me? They rifled it up and paraded it around. He asks, "Why left? Why left?" Because road belongs to us. The glass fogged again, slow, deliberate streaks crawling up, but this time from both sides. I watched condensation form outside on passenger window, and then, right beyond my own cheek, fog bloomed thinner on the inside as well. Circles, spirals. Not from me. My lungs were still ice-held, barely squeezing. Glass taps, multiple. Knocks began, not hard, casual, like knuckles drumming idly, dozens of them. Roof, hood, rear bumper, driver door, rhythmic, building slower than a heartbeat. Knock, knock, knock. Then palm, a thud smack side panel. Press slid streak downward. More followed until steel frame groaned minute under shift weight. I caught my reflection in the rear view, pale, hair sweat-plastered, but behind, beyond condensation blurry, movement shunted left to right, like shadows pacing loops outside. The whole cabin rocked faint. Not violent spin, just rocked. Test. Rattle, rattling child's crib. I screamed then, desperation raw. "Stop! Leave me! Leave me alone!" Voices chorused instantly in reply. Dozens, hives, mirrored out of my own throat resonance. "Leave me. Leave alone." Martin begs. He is child-cribbed, shaking. They weren't spirits pretending. They were me. They stole me, flayed personal thought into community hymn. Every doubt, every plea, every curse, they broadcast while I sat captive. He wants sun. He thinks it won't come. He is correct. He remembers candle wax pools inside church. He fears basement stairs. They conjured memory. Oh, Christ. They reached back, dredged things I hadn't thought since moments of sanctuary descent. They knew where I feared to go. Under the floor, Martin. Basement waits. Always waits. I clutched knees, ducked down position fetal, gasping. Pistol heavy, useless weight. Then drumming changed. From random knock to unison. 1, 2, 3. Roof and door and hood all struck together like drumskin. 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, like ritual beat in sermon. Threads across their mouths vibrated deep drone inside that beat, and my heartbeat followed, unwillingly. I actually synchronized. Chest pulse struck on their tempo. I sobbed. Tried altering breath, altering rhythm. Couldn't. And when man's body beats with congregation's drum, you're no longer only man. See, he joins song already. More condensation circles printed, driver's side thick-lined, circles inside wheel glass too. That was final spit nail for me. Recognition it had breached cabin in truth. Glass barrier false, seal broken. I panted spit, screamed guttural toward invisible. Then damn you, just take me, do it. I half wanted end. Better than percussion lull, better than thought echoes flayed naked. But they didn't breach, not yet. They savored. Not yet, not yet. Mass needs completion. The oak cracked behind ring. Branch bellow groan like beams in church roof shifting. It was church now. I was only pew left resisting. The knocks slowed. Beat cut silent. Whispers died again. But circle had halved radius in interim. I saw them clearer now, each tall, each impossibly still. Every stitch slack tugging like lips chewing at themselves. And one leaned its head, tipped just human, mocked prayer pose, invisible sermon half hour. And I realized, not one word came random, every motion practiced. This had played centuries. I was new verse, not original. Always Martins, always sheriffs, always lost men ride loop, always feed choir. I coughed. They had known me before I was born. And if names scribbled onto notebook's last ill page, it didn't matter what bullet chambered. My biography ended same. Here, in circle. This was the breach. Mind no longer mine, body still resisting only by threads. Circle completes. Just a knock more, a knock more. Steo crooned with pressure. Door handle nearly trembled. All in patient time. Mass had begun. Lo, stuttered. My grandmother once told me when I was 5, never to let a stray dog sniff your hand if you don't want it to follow you home. She said, once it knows your smell, it belongs. These things didn't need smell. They already had my thoughts. But when that burlap face pressed to glass, I understood what she had meant. There are some contacts you don't come back from. At first it was a shifting shadow in beams, then a shape taller than doorframe hooked forward, leaned down. The sack-covered skull dragged slowly into passenger window view. The cloth was damp, sagged heavy like old potato sack left soaking. Had stains darker than the red light above, spots stiff across fabric. The stitches lined crooked where a human mouth would lie. Rust-colored thread tugged taut between punctures. Some slack snapped loose, wavered sticky. And then the thing breathed. Hot fog burst oval patches across window. Droplet condensation traced between thread lines, droplets connecting stitches like rosary beads. My gut lurched. That heat didn't belong outside my safe cabin. It belonged inside. I couldn't breathe with it. I matched its rhythm against my will. The stitches twitched as if lips quivered behind sack. The sound that leaked wasn't full word, but shaping lower than sound. Boom. 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 Chest-thudding hum that bent itself to my heartbeat, so perfectly in sync I couldn't tell if it was reflecting me or commanding me. As hum continued, the other figures joined percussion. Palms and knuckles thudded roof, hood, trunk. Each strike measured. 1, 2, 3. Then breath. 1, 2, 3. Then hum again. Not chaotic banging, it was ritual, liturgy, church hymn cut from wood and thread and breath. I raised pistols slow, shaking barrel until my finger whitened over trigger, pointed directly where its eyes would be behind sack. Inches. Metal crosshairs face to face with nightmare. My trigger finger froze, wouldn't pull. It wasn't fear of waste, it was instinct. That dread truth. Shooting would only complete their ritual. A sacrifice needing my bullet. Yes, fire it. Open him, the whispers crooned. Threads parted wider. One stitch snapped brittle. Popped outward, dangling wire tip. A gap pulled apart enough to bear black, wet interior fabric. The breath came sharper, steam streaking more defined letters across haze. I leaned in without meaning to. Words appeared spelled by fog. Morning never comes. My bladder convulsed. I nearly pissed in seat, jerking back. Gun clattered across dash, hands trembling, limp. Oh God, no. Oh no, no. But even as I cried, disbelieving, the letters remained written, and thread mouth twitched, almost smiled before stitches drew back tight across slit. Message delivered. The drumming elevated, not harder, but deeper. Car rattled like subwoofer pressed earth bass. Bones vibrated inside me. And as they rattled, the voice chorus began again. One with us. He follows breath. He hums drum hymn. Because they weren't wrong. My chest was contracting same tempo, no matter how I forced lungs. My rib beat followed their percussion. They co-opt pulse itself. And when they own heartbeat, does ownership of soul lag behind? I slapped both palms to temples, hissed through cement teeth. Not yours. Not yours. Not yours. But whispers giggled rat squeal. Not yours, no. Ours now. Ours. Ours. His denial liturgy funniest hymn. Sing again, Sheriff Man. Sing. The burlap head never pulled back from glass. It rotated. Slow. Grinding neck angles unnatural. Cloth stretching taut. Nose area absent, just dark patch sagging. Then, it smacked head forward once. Lad cabin shook. Blast stayed intact, but dented inward faint. I screeched raw. Get away! Another thud, another. Window held, but each slam sulked heavier into ribs. Then sudden still. It leaned once again calm, staring, though no eyes. Staring plenty enough. Why? And others stopped pounding too. Every figure freezing in absolute stillness simultaneous. Hum hung faint, leftover. Not ready yet. Finish sermon chapter next. Save last breach for end. And without more, They began to retreat. Slow backward steps unseen except shadow over hood receding, palm prints drying frost, breath letters sliding away. The burlap face dragged down glass surface, stitches scraping faint like nails, until it disappeared below moonline. But my breath stayed synced. No matter panic, lungs strong-armed to match beat they'd left inside marrow. I wanted to sob relief, couldn't, because it wasn't relief. It was rehearsal. A choir practices refrain before finale, and their finale not broken yet. They had pressed him into body, mind, blood, and I realized this was close contact, not the sack mouth to glass. The true contact was already done, inside. Very soft, like his own voice. Only us. No mourning. I shut my eyes and heard myself say it, without lips moving. The face pulled away from my window at last, but it didn't feel like mercy. It felt like intermission, like the choir had finished rehearsal and orchestra now had solo. And that solo was the notebook. My headlights sketched across the ditch where the ruined sheriff's cruiser sat. The corpse had shifted again. No slouch, no weightless sag like cadaver rot. Now upright, proper, back rigid, hat still tipped. A soldier in pew for inspection. But what killed me wasn't posture, it was the movement. His head craned slow, angled toward me across seats. Not natural lean, a puppet nod, twice, as though acknowledging I had lasted this long, as though welcoming me into last chapter. Then the notebook flipped, slow at first. Pages licked over, though neither wind nor breath touched them. The car's glass long gone, frame rotted, but this book had no business moving like that. Flip, flip, flip. Shk of dry sheet scuffing. I gripped my wheel so hard my nails cracked. I hissed, "Don't you do it. Don't you dare." But it did. It flipped vicious now. Pages slapping fast forward, blur, 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 until it hit last. And stopped. Across that ragged final sheet, ink welled. Except there was no pen in those hands, no scribe, only corpse bone. Yet still, letters gouged into pulp right before my eyes. Not writing from years ago. Number. Carving dry fresh right now. S-C-R-A-A-T-C-H. S-C-R-A-T-C-H. S-C-R-A-T-C-H. Lines ripped so heavy I swore even moon above winced at sound. And when it finished its first word, I knew. It was my name. Martin, I screamed throatless. Breath looped ragged. "No, no, no!" Pistol flew back up wild, pointed straight at ditch. But tell me, how do you shoot a word? How do you aim at ink? The whispers crooned laughter choir. He sees page now. He knows his gospel begun. Sewn into ledger. Sewn, sewn, sewn. I bent into steering wheel. Forehead smack metal until stars burst. Didn't erase name. Didn't smear it gone. It only grew darker. Letters bled thick font. Ink rivulet out edges. Strands dripped downward page. The book was bleeding me. Then more text scratched below. Fast, ugly, erratic. I watched it appear letter by letter. Prayer complete once he reads. What did that mean? I was already reading, eyes wide glued. Had I finished? Not until mouth repeats, voices laughed. He must say word. My jaw locked tight. I pressed teeth until gums screamed. I would not, but my lips twitched. Reflex betrayal impulse inside skull. I lashed palm across mouth, holding jaw closed, drooled, spit, choking. Every tendon screamed, and from outside came whispers timed to my struggle. Say it, Sheriff. Say your name, close sermon. Let him end with you. I tried. God help me, I tried not to wail. But the book didn't stop. It wrote again, line after line. He is ours once he claims it. He is Martin. He is hollow now. Page tore where letters gouged crooked. My vision swam blur. I whispered faint, hand muffling. No, not me. Yes, Martin. Yes, hollow. Yes, yes, yes. Every silhouette in circle bowed heads to punctuate, sack faces drooping in parody of reverence. Mouth wire hummed a chord so soft but deep it cracked my sternum. The corpse deputy knocked windshield from inside to tempo. Knock, knock, knock. On each knock more letters etched, frenzied. Like the gospel needed punctuation, only bone could provide. The steering wheel vibrated under my palms. I peeked at my own rear view to cure dizziness, but mistake. Breath marked behind seat. Inside cabin. Fog letters. Matching book. Martin. Front and back. Book and glass. Corners sealed. "There's no way out!" I shrieked. "There's nothing! Nothing!" No way out, only in. 100 voices repeated. I banged dash, spit blood onto speedometer plastic. "Shut up!" But the gospel only laughed. Then came worst, because notebook pages began to sketch, not words but drawings. Fast, almost manic. Lines scribbled themselves across bleached pulp, crooked tree, swinging figures, stitches across sacks, crude car outline, headlights. Scene I was in, scene replicating itself. And last sketch, driver form, faceless but badge drawn. Handwriting below scratched single annotation. H-I-M. I vomited onto floor mat, bile-scorched throat, but even acid tasted like Rust Benny's prayer. His name written, his portrait drawn, his hymn in mouth soon. Choir cheered. I kicked floorboard, shuffle shifted gear in panic, though foot detached floating. Engine cough, spit coughed. I shouted, "Not me, not me, I'm still..." But whisper inside answered, voice exact as mine. "Yes, you are." And my own ears didn't know which one had spoken, me or them. The corpse deputy stopped, tapping divide. Notebook page full black. Circle outside stilled, perfectly statuesque. Everything held breath. Like moment before congregation final amen. And I knew section, not mine to finish. It would be theirs. Everything froze. Notebook blacked. Effigies stilled mid-swing. The corpse deputy locked rigid. No more knocks, even the whispers muted. For one heartbeat, the world held its breath. It's strange how silence can weigh heavier than any scream. That moment of stillness, I thought, this is when they strike. This is when jaws close and I feel teeth. But they didn't strike. They assembled. My headlights picked faces as the circle shrank to its maximum. Dozens of sack heads bowed forward, skeletal shoulders hunched solemn. They weren't moving like predators now. They were arranging. Rows. Even rows like pews. An aisle formed. Directly from my hood down toward the oak, the effigy-nailed altar. In that instant, the forest clearing wasn't forest anymore. It was a church. Roots were columns. The oak was the pulpit. The moon threw split branches their stained glass. And me? I was seated in the front pew, exact where sermon wanted me. The effigies swayed again, this time in rhythm, back and forth, softer than before. Yet every sway matched the rise and fall of congregation's hum. Low drone, back. Fourth. The child-sized figure spun once more half-circle, rope twisting above invisible wind. Not accident, deliberate rotation sparked by some unseen hand. I wanted to bolt, tear through them even if threads cut me apart. But knees shook numb, foot pressed pedal slack. Car didn't stir, because this was not road's wheel anymore. This was ritual. And ritual means you don't move until told. Soft collective tap, like drum roll. The roof began tapping again, but this time not chaotic, perfect percussion. Bum bum bum. Every figure outside raised burlap heads in unison. Threads across mouths buzzed their note. I didn't need to see them to know it. They were smiling beneath. And the deputy corpse joined in. Palm raised again against windshield. Knock, knock, knock. Each knock spurred notebook page flip in cadence. Though no more words etched, paper slapped against itself like metronome. Everything in perfect ensemble. Drums outside, lungs inside, book page percussion, effigies pendulum sway. The final hymn. My name resounded then, not in voice single, all of them. Every throat. Martin, Martin, Martin. Hundreds of layers, high, low, dry, wet. Even my mother's tone again, my father's, my sheriff's. Every person who'd walked these roads echoed. Every name this circle had devoured. And me. Folding into them. I shouted, half insane, voice dissolved. I'm not you. I'm me. I am. But my throat cracked, and whispers inside corrected. We are, Martin. We are you. He surrenders now. The effigies swung harsher, back, forth. So harsh cloth tore, sack seams snapped. One head plummeted from rope and rolled into ditch. Except when it sat still, it blinked. Eyelids wrought slack blink. My scream choked silent. The child effigy gurgled small wet noise as rope spun tighter. And every watcher bent forward, closer, closer, until I could see individual stitch threads vibrating. Hear cords straining as if mouths wanted nothing more than to burst open. The notebook glowed pale black words bleeding reflection across my windshield. No way out, only in. It wasn't ink anymore. It was light. Echo of script burnt into retinas. Deputy corpse slammed windshield 3 knocks louder, twitching head so fast hat fell limp floor. Jaw slackened and wire split with moist snap. Thread cut like tendon, mouth dropped open unnatural eternal scream. And choir erupted. Only in, Only in, only in, only in. Voices shot needle through body. I covered ears, but it lived inside marrow, physically buzzing bone. No escape if voice lives within. He joins, he sings, he loops forever. My body gave then. Hands dropped from wheel. Gun clattered unseen. My lips twitched in beat. Only in. I fought it. I swear I fought, teeth grinding, gums bleeding, stained tongue. But words slipped, a whisper. Only in. They thundered praise. He says it. He says him now. He belongs. Circle slammed palms at once. Crash, tap all sides. Cruiser frames shook like a toy in earthquake. I shrieked wordless, but lips still mouthed phrase not to. Only in. Only in. Feet rattled pedals useless. Eyes rolled tears salt. And then silence, all at once. Choir muted, effigies stilled. Corpse frozen palm mid-knock, notebook black. It was over. Except not, because last thing I saw before blackout was mirror again. Behind me, inside cabin. A row of figures seated across back seat. Sack faces inches from headrest, breath visible inside. And in overlapping whisper, they told me finish, "We are driving now." Fade to wind, static crack snap, cut dead. Low formal voice, paper rustling. Document 679-B. Park County, Montana Sheriff Department. Incident Report, 1993. Slight Deputy Martin Thorne. Patrol assignment, Hollow Line, 2,200 hours. Vehicle confirmed, departed. No response radio callback after 2,315. Unit not recovered until March of the following year. Discovered abandoned 6.7 miles off mapped route. Tire marks inconclusive. Vehicle appeared driven in multiple circles across Forest Service Road, loops beginning and ending near Oak Cutoff. Slight pause, lower voice. The words were typed, clean, distant, almost bored. But the scribbles in margin were not. Pen jab, frantic. Things an officer shouldn't record but couldn't throw away. One line written sideways along page corner read, "Do not drive north of marker during moon fullness. Do not speak name if heard outside car. Do not answer knocking." Below it, shakier, heard them too. Heard them call my name when I searched site after. I am not going back. Burn file. Initials, HB, Deputy Harold Beckman, retired 95, vanished 99. The file thickened from there. Report 14-17, witness statement, local rancher. Claimed saw patrol lights threading between trees over and over same night. Truck clock read 2:14 a.m. Driver insisted he watched one cruiser flash by clearing 3 separate times in exactly same arc, only minutes apart. No sound of second approach between. Official note. Witness intoxicated. Margin scribble again. If drunks see it too, then drunk truth works better than sober. Wind howling deeply. I turned page after brittle page, and all of them led to the same conclusion without speaking plainly. The hollow line was a feeding ground. Files stretched further back, a 1954 incident. Sheriff Nedrick Hall ordered road closed after 3 deputies went missing mid-patrol. Only tire trenches and single blood smear across Oak Route recovered. Closure rescinded 2 years later after jurisdiction shift. A 1937 clipping taped crooked inside folder showed old typewriter headline. Children vanish from church outing. Locals blame the Hollow. No bodies found. Parents sworn hearing names whispered on wind nights after. Then the Polaroids. Grainy, color-washed. Grainy, color-washed. Every one of them showed same oak. In first, only black bark, scar, water lines. Third, clearest, shapes. Effigy outlines nailed, crooked, luminous by flash. And if you stared long enough, details spread clearer. A shadow, not shaped like tree. Mass bending at forest edge. Tall, stalk-like thing with sack projection to face. Smiling hole too far wide. The low, scrawl in ink bled water damage. We developed these 3 times. Image burns back each try. We can't make it blank. Negative always shows him. The file's last page broke me most. A letter, handwritten. Stationery from sheriff's desk, aged brown. Address, but no signature. Ink gouged deep, words manic slurry. The road loops because it isn't road. It's their tongue. You drive it, and you're already in their song. The oak is heartbeat. The effigies, tick marks. Every knock another measure. They don't kill. They keep you inside until you sing. That's worse. And at bottom, alone scrawled, letters raw. Morning never comes. Hushed voice, shift personal. I closed file, or thought I did, because file isn't closed, is it? Here's what matters. Deputy Martin Thorne never came home. Truckers won't approach road when moon is red. Hunters mutter jokes they won't camp that ridge. But every decade file grows thicker. Another name, another notebook rattled inside evidence box. Each scribble cross-refers circles, always same spiral, always same words. No way out. Only in. And if you ignore all myths, think all legends are fog, then ask yourself why sheriff's office in Montana hides entire map section today. GPS reroutes instantly. Forest Service closes gate mid-season, no budget given. They don't explain because explanation is invitation. The hollow doesn't need recruitment. You find it. It finds you. If you hear knocking at night and window fog draws circle, don't pray. Silence is the only prayer. Don't whisper name. Don't follow road. Because Martin followed and file closed emptily. And tonight, maybe you drive long stretch, radio hiss back. Maybe station skips, map glitches. Truck clock loops 2 a.m. again, and oak waits, always waits. Fade quiet, multiple voices overlay. Already hours, circle close, no way out, only in.